Nirvana Prakarana, the Transcendence. Chapter 15, the story of Ikshvaku. The silvery lake mirrored the reflection of the moon, which in turn reflected the borrowed light from the sun. The tall mountain range surrounding the lake scattered the moonlight from their rich and bright snow caps. The sky was crystal clear, with infinite stars, star systems, and planets vying to exhibit themselves. At the height of nearly 6 kilometers above the sea, the air was comparatively rarer, but it carried a pleasant smell of the water vaporized during the vertical fall from the most beautiful of the peaks, Harmukh. The name was chosen, perhaps, because of its head-like shape with matted locks, through which streams of molten water from the snow cap flows to form emerald green lake, which presently appeared like molten silver. The lake, most appropriately named Harmukh Ganga. One could hear the sounds of sheep bleating, the shepherds speaking to one another to pass the long cold night. From the once-in-a-lifetime adventurer who was enjoying all these sense stimuli, the life of shepherds was enviable because they could live near this mountain and enjoy it from every angle. While the shepherds envied the visitors who could go back to the luxurious cities instead of living in this God-forsaken place, leading miserable lives. And the truth was, in thinking of the other and the unavailable, both the adventurer and the shepherd were missing the present and the available, which was more than enough for ushering in joy. The act of dreaming is itself a paradox. Without dreams, the mankind could not have been what it is now. It is the dreams that have brought in scientific and technological breakthrough and leaps to progress in civilization. It is the dream again that has developed the heart through art and literature. It is due to dreaming that we have the sense of beauty, of goodness, and of harmony. When we are troubled by anxiety, worry, or are threatened by challenges, we retreat into our dream world. But then, it has become a stubborn habit for us. The perpetual dreaming goes on as the constant and steady undercurrent inside the mind, detaching us from the present moment or what is, and to nurture the attraction for the other, which takes root in our mind. One of the greatest problems facing mankind is the attraction for the other than what is available at hand. So much so that this habit has become a second nature for mankind. Consequently, it remains perpetually discontent and disillusioned. The habit has gone so deep that when the desire is fulfilled, one does not even wait for the mind to settle back in satisfaction. It is again activated by a new desire, which perhaps requires greater effort, energy, and time. And this search for the horizon continues from womb to tomb, life after life. And with every effort involved in the fulfillment of the desire, habit gets strengthened until it becomes a strong samskara or impression. These samskaras do not allow the boat of life any movement. A story is told of a group of thieves who burgled a village after crossing a river in a boat. When they had successfully collected the loot, one of them suggested that a celebration was justified after such a successful operation. They drank away to glory, and when the night had well advanced, they returned to the boat and started paddling the oars. In the morning, they were caught by the villagers, for the boat had not moved an inch, as they had remained on the same bank where they were. They had forgotten to weigh the anchor in their intoxication. The story of most of us is not very different. The samskaras act like the heavy anchor, gaining weight with every life, which stops our boat from embarking into the ocean of consciousness and bliss and freedom. One of the most effective means of lightening this anchor is by the reduction and ultimately elimination of desires by means of asanga or non-attachment. Asanga has been recommended in every religion in some form or the other. The three approaches have been used for developing asanga. They are indriya nigraha or control of senses, karuna or compassion, and dana or charity to tackle indulgence, anger and cruelty, and greed respectively. A story from Brihadaranyaka Upanishad illustrates this. Devas, the divine, Danavas, the demonic, and men went to the Creator to ask the meaning of dharma, the way. He said, Da, Da, Da. Devas or gods who by very nature are sensuously indulgent took it as damana, the control of senses. Danavas or the demons who are cruel by nature took it as daya or compassion, while the men who are greedy by nature took it as dana or charity. We have an element of each of the three beings in us through sense indulgence, cruelty and anger, as well as greed. However, these three approaches form only the basic and initial steps to turn in the direction of spirituality. These three, that is, indriya nigraha, karuna and dana, bring in the realization that there is something more than survival, that life has a greater purpose, and that life as it is a great dependence and bondage. They help us in calming the restlessness of the mind to an extent, but in no way should we take them to be end in themselves. In this sense, asanga takes on deeper significance every time one transcends a level. But used that we are for living in darkness and dependence and misery, we cannot possibly conceive of a state that is ever free, transcending the pairs of opposites and light itself. This forces us to keep asking questions like, what will happen if one overcomes all desires? Can such a one continue to live? Or will such person have any reason to live? Or what will happen to the world when one attains to the oneness? Or is it not selfish to think of one's own salvation when there is so much of misery in the world? But we will do well to remember that all these questions are from the level of mind and intellect and are raised by them and used as intravenous injections for their own survival. For the questions are just reflections of the fear arising out of knowledge that enlightenment means that the mind and intellect and ahankara lose control over the person, and the person will start having control over them. And that all along the person was their instrument, and now they will be the person's instruments. There is another trick used by the antakarana or the inner instrument. It starts gathering all the travel details without really embarking on the journey. Then there is the greater danger of shallow panditya or scholarship, which thinks that it has known, while the fact is it is only playing with words. Since the intellect is very articulate, it can explain what ought to be done and what ought not to be done to others while fostering and nurturing ignorance within itself. And it has a powerful attraction because the others will respect such persons who apparently have control over their mind. It is possible that a really ignorant person may succeed in coming out of darkness, but for a scholar it is very, very difficult because he is taking his intellectual slumber to be wakefulness. To avoid such pitfall, the enlightened great have always suggested that the Shastras are meant for sadhana and not for intellectual gymnastics. It is for personal guidance of the seeker and not for public debates. Perhaps with this in mind, one is discouraged for discussing religion in some of the organized religions, but they took it too far, reducing the religion to some empty gestures. Religion has been, for them, restricted to a particular practice at particular time and place, and life remains untouched by the practice. The Upanishads and other Shastras are mostly the dialogues between the Guru and Shishya. The Rishis have accepted the place of intellect in one's being and have respect for it. So all the questions asked by the disciple are patiently replied initially, but ultimately the disciple is gently guided back to the practice itself by the Guru. And when the seekers continue to remain as seekers of knowledge or information, then the masters become very strict by not allowing any digression. To make spirituality practical, persons like the Buddha refuse to be drawn in Vada Vivada or intellectual discussions and arguments. This sarga begins with a query from Rama as to what happens when the mind is divested of the ahankara with its illusory form, and what are its distinguishing characteristics. Vasishtha replied, "No desire, illusions, and other stains can unsettle a person who is firmly established in his Atman like water on a lotus leaf. Benevolent and other good qualities start showing themselves. The sins are destroyed. The bond of vasanas gets loosened. Anger and the tendency for desire is eliminated. All impulses of kama or passion are dispelled. He will be undisturbed by pleasure and pain. The senses will lose their dominance. There is no reaction in the face of adverse pain or sickness afflicting the body." Continuing, Vasishtha told how one can attain this stage. The inquiry, "Who am I?" has the potential of bringing quiescence to mind, enabling it to cross the ocean of multiplicity. But even this question can be reached only after seeking replies to the questions like what is the nature of universe, what is the use of material enjoyments, etc. According to the Vedas, such discriminative inquiry is the best means. To illustrate this, Vasishtha narrated the story of Ikshvaku, the first of the kings from Solar dynasty, the son of present Manu, Vaivasvata. Ikshvaku, the great king, once asked himself as to what is the stainless cause of the world characterized by dotage, death and decay, pleasure, pain, fancies and misconceptions. In spite of his deep contemplation, he was unable to solve the problem. He visited the first Manu, Swayambhuva, in Satyaloka, the plane of truth, and sought clarification for his doubts. From where this universe manifested? What is its form? How long will it last? Can one realize oneself from the snare of the universe like a bird from its cage? Manu was glad to note that they were not ordinary questions meant to appease one's curiosity. So he replied that all the universes which are experienced really do not exist, but are like the Gandharva or imaginary city, or like a mirage in a desert. Only Atmic inquiry, Atmic reality is transcending the mind and senses, unlimited by space and time. All visible objects, composed of 5 elements, are reflections in this great mirror of Atman. The spreading of effulgence of Brahman gave birth to certain Shaktis or potencies, which in turn mingled together to form Brahmanda, the cosmic egg. Some remained unmanifest, while some manifested into the elemental forms. There is nothing like Bandha or Moksha, neither duality nor oneness. Brahman alone is. Like infinite waves, foam emanate from one ocean. Everything emanates from the Chit. By dispelling the thoughts of bondage and liberation, one can free from all fear and attain firmness of a rock. Should one associate oneself with Sankalpa, Chinmatra Jnana, or pure being gets degraded to the state of Jiva like water transforming itself into waves, etc. The condition of happiness, sadness, infatuation, etc. is peculiar to mind and not to the Atman. A discussion can throw more light on the explanation of Swayambhuva Manu. Like the space enclosed by pot, vessel, or even house cannot be limited by them and remains unchanged by them during the enclosure or after the enclosures have fallen. The Atman is never affected by elusive superimpositions like ahankara, buddhi, manas, indriyas and body. And these manifestations are nothing but reflections in the mirror which remains unaffected by the object it reflects. Seeing the image of the body, we take it to be the body, as the body is the grossest. Image of the mind makes one feel that it is the mind, etc. A very deep statement is made by the scripture at this juncture. Adrishyo drishyate rahu grahitena yathenduna yathanubhavamatratma drishyenatmavalokyate. The invisible Rahu is perceived through the eclipsed moon. In the same way, the Atman is a pure experience perceived through objects. Rahu is the earth shadow which is ranked in the Hindu astrology as a planet, Rahu. A doubt invariably arises when one understands that if everything without exception exists in and due to the ultimate reality, and if one has to ultimately realize the non-dual state, then why at all these manifestations? One solution to this doubt has been given by realized persons like Sri Aurobindo, who says, "The call of the unknown, the joy of danger and difficulty and adventure, and will to attempt the impossible, to work out the incalculable, the will to create the new and the uncreated with one's own self and life as the material, the fascination of contradictories and their difficult harmonization were the temptations that led to the fall." Many of the realized persons have observed that the manifestation of the reality at the grosser level is actually a fall, and one has to rise to the subtler levels to go nearer the reality which is the subtlest. Sage Patanjali calls the process of going from manifest state to the ultimate cause as the pratiprasava, reabsorption. But Yoga Vasishta tries an entirely different approach to explain this through the above shloka. It more than succeeds in helping a seeker from the level she or he is presently in, reaching the ultimate state. It says that as such, that state transcends all experience of senses, mind and ahankara. At the same time, the experience is possible only in its presence, and in its absence nothing is ever possible. By giving the example of Rahu, this scripture illustrates this point. Kenopanishad clarifies it further. Shrotrasya shrotram manaso mano yat vachoha vacham sa upranasya pranaha chakshuscha chakshuhu atimuccha dhiraha pretyaham asman lokan amruta bhavanti na tatra chakshur gacchati navag gacchati no manah na vidmo na vijanimo yathai tadanushishyaat anyadeva tadviditat tatho avidadati iti shushrama purvesham yenas tad vyacharikshache yadvacha anabhyutitam yena vad abhyuttate tadeva brahmatvam vidhi nedam yadidam upasate yan manasana manute yenahur manomatam tadeva brahmatvam vidhi nedam yadidam upasate. That which is hearing of our hearing, mind of our mind, speech of our speech, and that too is life of our life breath and sight of our sight. The wise are released as they pass from this world and become immortal. There, sight travels not, nor speech, nor mind. We know it not, nor can distinguish how one should teach of it, for it is other than the known. It is there above the unknown. This has been declared by the old who brought that to our understanding. That which is unexpressed by the word, that by which the word is expressed, know that to be Brahman, and not this which men follow after here. That which thinks not with the mind, that by which the mind is able to think. Know that to be Brahman, and not this which men follow here after thee. This idea helps the seeker to change his or her attitude towards the so-called disturbance in life. The senses and manas, which is connected with their activity mostly, cause the restlessness, with the idea that they are after all the ways in which the reality expresses itself. The seeker will at least not treat them as enemies and stop fighting. Swayambhuva Manu said that one should look upon the organs in the same indifferent manner in which a wayfarer regards the object on his way. It is not proper on the seeker's part to either desire or hate organs, since the body and other objects are the results of the past actions and will inevitably come to be. So the best way is to give up mentally and making one's mind calm without the feverish thirst. The identification of the I with the body produces the bondage of existence. This does not happen to the aspirant after liberation, when the aspirant becomes the nature of Chinmatra. The impartial wisdom of such a person becomes all-pervading and shines on all forms like the sun's rays, and enters the heart of all beings like gold in the golden ornaments. He becomes like an ocean which remains unaffected in spite of all the rivers flowing into it. Like a mother who, forgetful of the child that rests on her bosom, becomes unafflicted at heart and searches everywhere for it, so people, without cognizing the Atman within, which transcends birth and death, suffers all sorts of grief, imagining that they have no protector, or that they are destroyed with the destruction of the body nourished by food. Like water generating waves through agitation in it, through excess of sankalpa, delusion of chit increase greatly. But should the sankalpa be removed, through concentration on the Atman, one can maintain the calm and quietude even amidst the tossing waves of the ocean of samsara. The Atman, through its Kriya Shakti, the creative potency, creates diverse objects, and through Samhara Shakti, or destructive potency, brings about the quiescence. Like precious gems displaying luster with the shining sun, or the fruits and leaves coming out of the tree, or the drops of water in the mountain torrents, the illusory world of buddhi, etc., producing activity, arises out of Brahman. To those who have not cognized Brahman, this universe appears real and generates pain. The power of Maya is such that though the Atman is ever present and permeates all levels, it deludes men through Maya, stopping them from cognizing their own Atman. Manu blessed King Ikshvaku that he sever the thoughts of differentiation through non-involvement and to attain state of Brahman. Continuing, he suggested that Prajna should be developed through a deep study of Jnana Shastras and the association of the wise. This Shubhecha or aspiration forms the first Yoga Bhumika or the stage of Yoga. Ceaseless Atma Vichara constitutes the second stage. Asanga or non-attachment is the third stage. Fourth stage destroys vasanas from their root. In the fifth, one starts being in the bliss within oneself to attain Jivana Mukti. The sixth stage is characterized by total bliss, devoid of any recognition of external stimuli. The seventh stage of moksha, whole, immaculate and quiescent. Of these 7 stages, first 3 may be included under Jagratavastha, the wakeful state. The fourth stage, in which all universes appear like a dream, falls under Swapna, dream state. The fifth stage, which is filled with bliss alone, comes under the category of Sushupti, the deep sleep. That which is of nature of being filled with bliss alone. The sixth stage comes under Turiya, or the fourth. Then comes the Turyatita, or that which transcends Turiya, the seventh stage beyond the reach of everything. If one develops equanimity during the pairs of opposites, one gradually attains to the state of Jivan Mukti, no matter whether he involves himself in actions or not, whether he is a householder or an ascetic, whether he is conscious of the body or not. Such a one never droops in spirit, since there is conviction that one neither dies nor lives, neither exists nor ceases to exist. There is no mind with its vasanas forcing one to cling to anything. An object enjoyed through vasanas begets a train of pleasures, but when it perishes, it invariably brings in pain. It is a fact that majority of the mankind does not seek to liberate themselves from pleasure and pain, which are so interblended that they manifest themselves together and disappear together. When the vasanas decay, the effects of the past actions drop off on their own. As long as the Atman rests in desire, so long will it be termed Jiva. Desires arise out of aviveka or non-discrimination and die out with the rise of viveka or discrimination. It is the duty of those who wish to end rebirth to venerate such exalted persons who have attained Jivana Mukti and seek their company, which is enough to confer gifts of tapas and to free themselves through jnana. Having thus taught King Ikshvaku, Manu retreated to his abode. So concluded the great sage Vasishtha. Horizon has been a source of attraction for man from times immemorial. It is the conceptual place where the sky meets the earth. It is but an idea. It appears near, yet it is far away. The more one tries to go near it, the more elusive it gets. The nature of the sky is such that it cannot possibly meet the earth. In this sense, it is identical to human beings. In human being, consciousness meets matter. An impossible thing has apparently happened in humankind. He is conscious of his body and mind. In reality, however, it only appears to be so because by its very nature, consciousness cannot meet matter. It is only a bridge between them. If he uses the bridge through non-involvement, he can attain to the state of transcendence. But if he misuses it through indulgence, involvement, and identification, then he continues to be what he is, a restless, discontent, and a miserable being. But the restlessness is also the sign of the consciousness, rebelling to come out of the cage of matter. Ultimately, it has to succeed, for it is against its very nature to be caged. No wonder, Horizon has always fascinated humankind.